let's see, 2001 is when I got to New Life. One of our youth pastors came and said, I want to do this gathering called Desperation. It sounded radical, so I was in. That first one, we had like just a few hundred high school and college age students packed into our World Prayer Center room. And what was really fun about that first conference is we were going to lead worship for it, but we didn't have songs of our own to sing, but it might have been our worship pastor at the time that encouraged us to write songs for it. It's like, you guys should write songs for it. And I had never written a song in my life. So I remember my first reaction was, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. It seems too intimidating. So I kind of just tried and wrote a few songs, and then I had a few songs. The other guys had a bunch of songs, and we put together a little list of 11 or 12 original songs. And I guess we'll sing these songs at the conference. And then a friend of ours, he had a bunch of gear. He's like, well, let's record the songs. And I never recorded before. And so we did it. We gathered in that room with a few hundred radicals. We prayed, we fasted, we sang hard, and we recorded everything. We did some post-production. They sounded just awful, but they were so innocent, and they were so raw and so us. And we were kids, but we were passionate, and we wanted to just go for it. When we recorded these songs, and we thought, well, maybe we'll package it together and put it out. It's like, well, what do you call this group? Just put band after the word Desperation. Desperation Band. And then quickly, we were thrust into playing conferences that were held in arenas. And I'm leading worship in a stadium. That's how the Desperation Band was formed. It wasn't formed on a bunch of people getting together trying to be a band. It was totally, it was about writing songs for these young people to come and pray and fast and pursue Jesus. There's a conviction that I've had and that we have as a church for discipleship, and discipleship is more than a brand. Desperation Band, I mean, we wanted to disciple who was coming up past us and who was coming up behind us, I should say, and who was coming up in the movement of desperation or in the movement of passion for Jesus, and who was God talking to about leading worship and writing songs. And so I just wanted to hand it off. I wanted to kind of not make it a race. I wanted to make it a relay.
Desperation for me was the moment, not just where I met Jesus and learned who he was, but I learned that he was the prize. I think part of those moments was feeling the call to lead worship. I was that kid who loved Jesus, wants to be used by God, but maybe was lacking some of like the actual ability to sing, not knowing how to write songs, but wanting to do that, wanting to serve the Lord primarily, but also serving his church.
Well, I remember my first Desperation conference was 2014. I remember just walking into that room and just feeling like a sense of belonging. I am surrounded by girls and boys, sisters and brothers in Christ, my age, who are just full-heartedly like pursuing. This isn't emotion, this isn't mob mentality. Like they are saying, I say yes, Lord, like you hold the world and I will follow. And that was almost like an overwhelming moment for me. I was like, oh my gosh, there is no other place I want to belong to than this group of people.
We were asked to kind of take the student worship team and just lead a prayer meeting for Desperation. So it was in the afternoon, we just kind of did a bunch of covers and we worshiped, we prayed, we went for it. And I remember leading that session and we just had fun. We're not recording songs, we're not writing songs, we're just kind of a bunch of young people just like leading other young people, and we're just going for it, we're praying and worshiping like God hears us. And then I remember a few weeks later, I got coffee with John.
I met with him and just encouraged him to think about writing songs and think about, just even think about recording those songs, you know? Because you're not signing up for anything, you're not signing on to something that you don't want to do. Just what if you tried it? Just write some original songs, you know, see what comes out of it. What's your voice, you know? What's your actual voice, but really what's your spiritual voice? What are you saying? I think Victor was more sentimental about the term Desperation Band than I was. So he was like, I can't take that term, we can't use that term, we can't use that brand, we're gonna be Desperation Worship. It's like, okay, whatever, worship or band, just keep it going. It's a spiritual thing, just keep it going. And they are.
That was like where we landed at the coffee, and so I walk away, I'm in my car just driving away like, are we gonna do this? Like, what?
Yeah.
What? Oh, sure, I'll try. And before we knew it, we were leading up to summer of 2022 with some songs and with some people and with a heart to give our students language, fresh language, prayers to pray, songs to sing, anthems to declare to the Lord as we gathered at Desperation Conference and as we gathered every week as a youth ministry.
There's like a song for every season where everyone can just connect with what the songs are saying, almost like giving language to the students on what praise looks like in your particular season. And I know I found that in every Desperation Conference that I went to, there was just a song that just impacted my life and became my anthem for the next coming seasons. And I believe that Desperation Worship, I feel like the Lord is going to do something like that again and even more.
What I love about Desperation Worship is that it stands on the shoulders of obedient men and women of God. People like John, people like Glenn, people like Jared, people who just gave their time and their prayer and their risk, their yes to Jesus. Desperation Band, it represents this moment in time, in the season, these 15, 20 years of these songs that were written for specific people at a specific time that are still ministering to people today. But Desperation Worship, I think changing the name speaks to that. It speaks to that baton passing. It speaks to that this is a new time of a new voice with new students, with new songs to sing. It's the same truth of God, same truth of the gospel. But now it's a new song and it's a new voice and it's a new season, it's a new time. And so for us, we have no ambition to try to replicate what Desperation Band did. We just want to be obedient. We want to write songs, we want to lead worship. And wherever the wind blows, whatever the Spirit of God does, He just has our yes.